Hello and welcome. In today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to get started with Ars Nouveau. By the end of this tutorial, you will know how to acquire your first spells, how to acquire mana and use it to power different machinery. We're going to go over the different machines such as the Agronomic Sourcelink, the Glyph Press, and the Enchanting Apparatus, the process of getting and creating your spells, as well as how to upgrade your mana pool. So leave a like, comment, and subscribe as it really helps me out. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start by crafting a war notebook, as it will serve as a guide for any questions that you might have. Right-clicking it shows us all the different parts of Ars Nouveau. We are going to need that for later. The first thing we absolutely need are source gems. They will be used for almost everything in Ars Nouveau. You can mine source gem ore while on your mining trip. The other way of acquiring them is crafting a crystallizer. The crystallizer turns source into source gems over time. This process takes quite a bit of time. In order to speed it up, we need a steady supply of source mana. So what is source mana and how to gather it? Mana is used to power every machine within Ars Nouveau. To gather it, we will need a way to create the mana and a place to store it. The easiest way to create source mana in the beginning is with an Agronomic Sourcelink. To craft an Agronomic Sourcelink, we're going to need 2 pieces of gold, 1 wheat, and 2 pieces of source gem. A source jar is used to store all the mana that we have created. The crafting recipe is simple. You get 1 arcane stone, which you get by surrounding a source gem with regular stone, and you need 7 pieces of glass. So now we have a way to create our mana and a way to store the mana we collect. Now we can get introduced to how machines in Ars Nouveau work. The Agronomic Sourcelink we previously mentioned gathers source from energy given from crop growth. That source then gets gathered and stored in these source jars. We get bonus source from growing source berries, archwood trees, or any Ars Nouveau crops. One thing you can't do is bone meal your crops. They have to grow naturally, otherwise you won't get any source energy. So as the crops grow, we fill our source jars with mana. With that step done, we can finally power different Ars Nouveau machinery. Now that we have source gems and access to machinery, we can get started with Ars Nouveau. First, we have to craft magic clay, which will be used quite a lot in the following process. To craft magic clay, we need a source gem, 2 redstone, and a single piece of clay. With magic clay crafted, we can now craft marvelous clay. We combine the previously crafted magic clay, 2 pieces of lapis lazuli, gold, and a source gem. With all that, we can craft a novice spellbook. For that, we need 2 pieces of marvelous clay, a book, and 6 source gems. It's finally time to start having some fun. Right-clicking our spellbook will open it. Now we can begin creating our first spells. First, we select our form. For the start, we have 3 options: touch, self, and projectile. Holding shift and hovering over the form will tell you more about it. Then we have to select our effect. We have 2 different effects that we can choose from. We have crafting and harm. These are pretty much self-explanatory. As you can see, we're pretty limited for the start. I can, however, show you how to make your first spell. Clicking on the form, then the effect can create our first spell. This spell is a projectile that deals damage to enemies. Later on, you can add more to the spell, but for that we need more options. That is where the Glyph Press and Glyphs come to action. To have the option to create diverse spells, we need Glyphs. Glyphs are basically different forms, effects, and boosts that we can add to our spells. A Glyph Press is an Ars Nouveau machine that creates glyphs. We need to surround the piston with 5 arcane stone, an iron block, and 2 pieces of regular stone. Now that we have that crafted, we can create some glyphs. Firstly, you need to place a Glyph Press next to a source jar that is previously filled with mana. Then, placing magic clay in the bottom and an item above will start a cool process that creates a glyph. Right-clicking a glyph will instantly add it to your spellbook. Remember the war notebook that we made in the beginning? All the tier 1 glyphs you can use are shown in the notebook along with the adjacent items needed to create them. Some useful glyphs are leap, snare, ignite, light, and amplify. Don't worry, I'm gonna show you how to make these. Leap is made by combining a wilden wing and a piece of magic clay. Combining a lantern and magic clay will get you a light glyph. Snare is made by combining a cobweb with magic clay. Magic clay plus flint and steel make the ignite glyph. Finally, amplify is created with the magic clay and the diamond. Here are some basic spells that I absolutely love using. I always combine Projectile with Harm and Snare effect. That creates a spell that damages and locks my opponents in place. That usually gives me time to run away. Adding Ignite to this spell cooks your food when defeating animals. The Leap spell is absolutely nice to have for the start. You can make it by combining Self and Leap. You can as well add Amplify to amplify the previous effect. If you fall from a high place while using this spell, you will take damage. Tried to warn you. A great spell to save some resources in the beginning is the Torch spell. You can create it by combining Projectile form with Conjure Mage Light. This allows you to cast infinite magical light bulbs around your world. Using spells also eats away at your mana bar. The more effects and boosts you have in a spell, the more mana it will cost. So we want stronger spells, but for that we need to increase our mana pool. Unlocking more glyphs will increase our mana pool. We need to unlock magical armor that increases our mana pool as well as regens our mana faster. To do this, we need the Arcane Core, Arcane Pedestals, and an Enchanting Apparatus. The Arcane Core is crafted by combining gold and arcane stone. The Enchanting Apparatus is crafted by combining 4 pieces of iron, 1 diamond, and 3 arcane stone. Lastly, Arcane Pedestals are crafted by combining 7 arcane stone in this formation. Now that we have all of these, I will show you exactly how they work. First, we place the Arcane Core in the ground. Then the Enchanting Apparatus goes on top of the Arcane Core. For the last step, we surround the apparatus with Arcane Pedestals. As you can see from above, it looks exactly like a crafting table. That is actually what it is. You can use this setup to craft other Ars Nouveau items such as the seeds we will need to craft for our armor. The recipe is simple. You place source gems just like I did, and the last item goes in the middle, in this case the seeds. A cool process happens and we create our item. Anything you touch in Ars Nouveau ends up being cool. I absolutely love this mod. So now with these Mage Bloom seeds you get Mage Bloom fiber. This fiber is used for crafting armor like any other in Minecraft. The exception with this armor though is that it increases our mana pool and our mana regen. So now we solved absolutely everything that you will need for the beginning of Ars Nouveau. Some things may differ from version to version, but the basic idea should all be in the notebook and hopefully in this tutorial. As you've seen, Ars Nouveau can be a lot in the beginning, and hopefully I managed to simplify that at least a bit. I'm not gonna lie, I was totally lost when starting out, and that is exactly the reason why I created this simple tutorial. If you did enjoy this tutorial, please leave a like, comment and subscribe, as it really helps me out and the channel. Well, that's the end of the road. I hope you have good luck in your Ars Nouveau journeys, and I'll see you later.